latest episode of Banter with the Boys. We're very appreciative and honored to have former Clemson University quarterback, standout, and NFL star with the Cowboys and the Falcons, Woody Dantzler. Thank you for joining us, Woody.
Man, thank you for having me, Mark. I really appreciate it, man.
Just to get started, I want to kind of look back at your collegiate career, and I mean, I realize you were kind of right in the heart of South Carolina, you growing up and everything. But how did you end up at Clemson? Like, is it something that when you were playing sports, you kind of said like that's the school I want to go to, or like how did that door open up for you, where that's where your life athletically and everything kind of started to take off?
Right. First, honestly, I love answering this question because it's a unique. Well, it's not a unique question, but the answer is unique for the simple reason that growing up, I didn't know anything about Carolina or Clemson or college football for that matter. I mean, I grew up in Auburn, South Carolina. I knew about, only college team I knew about was South Carolina State, and that was right in my hometown. So, I mean, Claflin was there, but they didn't have a football team. But growing up, I was not a kid that watched sports. I played it, but other than that, I was outside playing, having a good time. So when it came down to it, just simplifying answering your question, started getting recruited by colleges, and what made me chose Clemson was a guy by the name of Rick Stockstill. He was my recruiting coordinator. He was the one that spoke to me. He was the one who convinced me to come to Clemson. So essentially, yeah, I committed to Clemson, but in all actuality, I committed to Rick Stockstill.
What was it about Rick Stockstill that you felt that bond or that trust that you said, okay, this is the direction I want to go?
Just that second word you just said, it was trust. It was like, even though it was a short time that we got to know one another, I feel like I knew him all my life. The words that came out of his mouth, he was genuine, he was real, and I felt like I could trust him. So, and my career at Clemson, nothing that he said came back void. He was a man of his word, and even if he did make a mistake, he owned it, and we moved forward from it. So that's one man, to this day, he's somebody I really look highly towards and often reach out to and talk to.
And looking back at your career at Clemson, you had a fair amount of success. Is there a game that you kind of, even now, you get asked about a lot, or is probably maybe the favorite of your memories that you can kind of say, yeah, Mark, that was my go-to game or my coming out party?
Well, interestingly enough, there are two games that surface that many people are always talking about. One slightly more than the other, which is both took place, I believe, in 2001, my last year at Clemson, the Georgia Tech game, and then the following week was the NC State game. But I think more people talk about and mention that Georgia Tech game than any of the others. Those are just games where things just kind of click. And honestly, the Georgia Tech game, I didn't think I played that well, but just one of those things of everything worked well. But I would say, when people ask me this question, the one I think about the most is probably back in, it was 2000, or was it 99? I think it was 99. Actually, yep, it was 1999. Brandon Streeter was a starter at the time, and he ended up going down with a broken collarbone. And I had to come in that game, and I was able to help the team win the game. And I got my first passing touchdown and first rushing touchdown in my college career. So that's probably one that kind of stands out to me. And not NC State, but North Carolina, they had a solid defense, back during that time.
Do you ever kind of look back and almost see yourself as a bit of a pioneer for some of the other athletic quarterbacks, or you've kind of opened the door to kind of giving coaches something else to kind of chew on? Because before, it seemed like it was very much drop back passer, very traditional type quarterback, but you kind of, to me, it was kind of like you kind of led another generation of different quarterbacks and helped open the door for maybe a Denard Robinson or, some of these other quarterbacks that came along afterwards. And just kind of what you were able to do from a passing ability, but just obviously, running around. You had 2,000 yards passing, and then that other, and also in that same season, 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, I do see that. And I'm a firm believer that each generation is to set the next generation up to go further. So I was able to play my role, guys like myself, Mike Vick, Antoine Randall, Tom, even to think go back a little bit, Tommy Frazier, he opened the eyes of a lot of people. And just think of going back even to Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham. You start to get that different look about guys who can move around. So, indeed, I do believe that I was able to play a role in that, and I was glad to get people because all before, they didn't really see they told me I wasn't tall enough. They said my arm wasn't strong enough. All these different things, but it's just that extra dynamic that guys like myself bring to the game, and now you see it throughout the NFL with your Lamars and your Kyler Murrays and your Dak Prescotts. I mean, you see it in the league that guys that can move around and make things happen, but also like Russell Wilson can sit in that pocket and throw the ball so they can do both things. So it's giving them an opportunity, which is, like I said, great because each generation is to set the next generation up to go further.
Now, were you when it came to the NFL draft? I realized you were picked up by the Cowboys as an undrafted free agent. Did it ever sting you at all that you weren't drafted, or did you kind of use that as a life lesson?
Well, again, you I'm not your traditional guy. So, especially now, a lot of these kids, it's, NFL or bust or NBA or bust. They don't have anything. For me, football was just another avenue for me. And I was just going to ride that train as far as it went. If it went into the NFL, then, hey, I was happy to go into the NFL. If it was going to the NFL, I had other plans. So it just so happened to work for me. And no, I wasn't disappointed at all because at that time in my life, I had really come since 1999 is when our team chaplain, Darren Bruce, he introduced me to Jesus for the first time for real. And when I got on that path, it was like, God, lead me where you want me to go and I'll do what you have me to do. So to get an opportunity to play on the highest level, especially with a team such as the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, it was a great honor. And more so for me, it was a great opportunity. Met some great people, made some great connects, and I got to see some great things. So no, not getting drafted was not a downplay of mine. It was like, that was just a door that was open. That door was open that way, so I'll walk through that door. If it was being drafted, I'd have walked through that door. It didn't matter.
Did you have a choice, like when you were contacted by Dallas? Were there other teams reaching out to you back then? Like, was it something that you saw an opportunity with the Cowboys per se, or kind of walk me through that process, please?
You know what? That's an interesting question, and I don't remember. I think the Texans kind of reached. If I remember the Texans, because they almost selected me as the quote unquote Mr. Irrelevant.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was almost that guy that year, and then they turned out to pick someone else, but then they were still talking about bringing me in. So interestingly enough, I ended up going to Dallas. I think there were a couple other teams, but I don't remember. But I think, talking to my agent, I think the best offer was from Dallas. So that's why we ended up going that way, if I remember correctly. But I don't know. That part of the process is kind of hazy. You know what? That's the first time someone asked me that question. You're a pioneer.
Okay. No, I was just kind of wondering, like, memory-wise, if you had multiple teams and you just kind of analyze that from, where you might have the best position, opportunity to fit in from a position standpoint. So I was just curious.
Yeah, that was a great question. Yeah, I think it came down to just Dallas gave the best offer and it was the best opportunity.
What are some of your early memories of, going in to try out in Dallas? When you walked in, I mean, you got the whole mantra, America's team and all that, but, looking back, what are some of your early memories?
Some of my early memories was, I'll say the first one that I remember was rookie minicamp. And during rookie minicamp, Emmitt Smith came out there. And he was working out in the rookie minicamp. And I'm looking like, this guy's been in the league. He's in double digits at this point as long as he's been in the league. I think it's 11th year, 12th year, something like that. But he's out here getting himself ready to play. And I'm like, okay, this is what it takes to make an NFL. And I was already a hard worker myself. But just to be able to see that guy, the caliber that he had, come out and work in a rookie minicamp, who does that? So it really pushed me and inspired me to get out there and continue to work. Because again, I'm transitioning from quarterback to running back at this time. So I really had to put some serious work in to make the cut. So that was one of my fondest moments and one of my biggest inspirations to see him step out there at a rookie minicamp and do work.
That was one of my questions. Now, I know you were brought in as sort of a running back and kick returner. Did you ever have an opportunity to try out at the quarterback position, or were you just kind of used on maybe the scout team when you were asked to maybe emulate another quarterback or something another offense was doing?
Yeah, I actually did. My second year, when what's the guy's name?
Bill Parcells?
Yeah, exactly. I'm joking around, but yeah, I
Yeah.
love that guy. I love that guy. Absolutely adored him. So he actually gave me a full mini camp at quarterback. So that was really good. He gave me an opportunity, and I was able to get out there and show some things. And so I mean, yeah. So I even did that. Even when I was with Atlanta, I had a package at quarterback. With about 15 plays that I had as a quarterback. So yeah, I got an opportunity. It was interesting to see how you get out there, you throw the ball around a little bit. Oh my gosh, I didn't know you could throw the ball like that. It's like, I mean, I only did it most of my life, but hey, So yeah, I did get those opportunities, and I took advantage of them.
What I'm going to be asking you about next, the famous kick return. I know that I'm sure when people asking the NFL memories, that's a given. I mean that was a very memorable game on so many levels. Just the emotions, Dallas Frisco. You got T.O. running out to the star. You had one heck of a kick return. Walk me through that, please.
Well, first off, I'm gonna make you go crazy because I went the wrong way, honestly. But here's the thing. At that point in the game, they had started to read our returns. So when I caught the ball, once I caught the ball, I looked and we had a play. It was actually designed to go to the left. And it was like their whole entire kickoff team was darting to the left, their right. So I'm seeing this and I'm like, this might be bad. I thought I saw a seam backside, so I went to cut back. And as soon as I went to cut back, it closed and I got hit. And I tell you the absolute truth. At this particular moment, John Arizona was our special teams coach. And if anyone knows anything about Arizona, he had a way with words to make you feel less than human when you're in that film room. So my thoughts going through my head when I cut back to go the wrong way was, I need to get a few more yards so I don't get cussed out as bad in the meeting room. Those were my thoughts. So I made the cut back, got hit again, kind of spun around, shook some guys off. Next, I saw a lane to the outside, broke to the outside, and then here comes the kicker. And one of those rules, you never let the kicker tackle you. So he had no chance. He wasn't going to tackle me. And then, I saw Robert come across me. And then I saw another guy coming from the team. And he, made another block, cut back behind him, and got to the sideline. And that was it. Saw the end zone. I wasn't going to get caught. That's another rule. You never get caught from behind. So that's kind of what happened on that play. I went the wrong way. And out of sheer determination not to get my butt handed to me in the film room, I found a way to get out of there and get in the end zone. But the best part, got to the sideline, and there's Joey with that look on his face, and he's like, question. He said, do you even know which way the play was supposed to go? And I was like, yeah, left. Then he smiles and says, good job.
After all that, you get like a trick question.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he's about to give it to me right down the sidelines, but he's like, good job.
You're trying to catch your breath, and then obviously get your bearings, everything else after half, and then he's like, which way is the play supposed to go? That's funny.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that one thing, I never got tired, so no, I wasn't trying to catch my breath. That was another thing. When I talk about working hard, I pride myself in being the best conditioned athlete on the field. So I did things to make sure that my win was to a place. I mean, I literally never got tired. And that was one of the things I actually remember too, because you can think when we're running sprints and stuff after practice, I'm bouncing around, I'm talking, I'm singing, I'm moving from line to line, I'm running around doing the break. Like when we're resting for 30 seconds, I'm still moving around and running. I'll go by this player, go by another player, just messing with them because that's just the way I was. That's how I trained.
Obviously that kick return probably stands as probably your most memorable moment. But is there something else that season, maybe a game or something that during the course of that particular year that sticks out in your mind when you look back?
I do remember it was later on in the year, and I had a pretty good it was kind of a gift and a curse because I had a good game in the return game, but we got beat kind of bad. So I had a good bit of opportunities to return the ball. It was against the Giants up in New York. And it was just one of those games. The blocking was great. The crease was there. I was able to make some plays there. And I remember talking to our, I think, marketing person or someone. And they had planned, they decided to, for the rest of the year, when I made a great play or a decent run back, they were going to play Woody the Woodpecker over the loudspeakers. So I thought that was neat. That was something that kind of stuck out to me. So they started playing that, before return, sometimes after a good return, or, so that was one of those things that just kind of was neat that they would do something like that for me.
What was it like playing for Coach Campo?
I like Coach. I just like to hear him talk. He got that little twang to his little whatever you call it, vernacular or accent. That's it. His accent was something special. You would think he was this Italian mob guy the way he talked. He had that little talk to him. But I mean, I absolutely love Coach Campo. Man, he was down to earth. He get fired up now to get you going. But I absolutely do love. I mean, again, he gave me an opportunity. He was the one, along with Jerry Jones and Steven and the rest of the staff, that said, "Hey, let's take a chance on this guy switching from quarterback to running back, and let's bring him in as a free agent." So always indebted to those guys for doing such a thing like that to bring me in.
Do you have a funny Jerry Jones story?
Honestly, no, I do not. No. I wouldn't call it a funny story, but it just kind of speaks to who Jerry Jones was. At the end of the year, that first year, I remember after Emmett set the new rushing record, he came in, you walk into this, we got this party going on for Emmett to celebrate him. And I'm looking around, you're seeing all these movies, these prime time artists that he brought into the deal. And then, he kind of picks with the microphone and said, "Hey, I got a special treat for Emmett. I was one of these people that he truly adores, and we're gonna have them come in and give him a treat," something like that. And then all of a sudden I heard this voice coming over the loudspeakers. And immediately I knew who she was, because she was my favorite singer ever of all time. And it was Patti LaBelle.
Oh, wow.
This joker had Patti LaBelle come sing to Emmett for his celebration party for breaking the record. And I don't do starstruck because even sitting for the first time, there's Emmett Smith, there's Darren Woodson, there's all these great stars in the locker room. And I'm not starstruck, but I'm sorry. Patty came through, I was about done. So I got a chance to meet her, take a picture with her. And I mean, that was one of those things, just kind of speaks to who Jerry Jones is and what he has. So that's one of those memories that I always remember.
Very nice. You're saying that voice, you're thinking, you're thinking, geez, he's actually pulled this off. He's bringing Patti LaBelle in. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, Jeffrey Osborne was there. I mean, Tommy Davidson was the MC, and they had a couple of more acts in there. I think a couple more acts was there as well. So some prominent people walking around. So I was like, man, this is special.
What was the biggest lesson maybe that you learned from your time with the Cowboys? It could be something athletically, it could be life lesson. What would be the biggest takeaway or lesson you learned?
One of those biggest lessons is just getting out. Well, one was humbling, but still two, it was it showed me the skill set that I had. I remember one of our first running workouts. We're out there, we're running, and I'm running stride for stride with Rocket. And I'm sitting here like, wow. And I'm kind of blown away. And then at the end, on the last one, he said, okay, let's run this one. And we figured out why we called him Rocket. He just kind of took off. But honestly, I was still kind of there, but not really. And I don't really think he was running as fast as he could anyway. But the fact that I was there, but then you take a look at the whole deal, Rocket was just a rare speed. So to feel bad about him running away from me was not a bad thing, because when I look back, I was ahead of everybody else. But it's just one of those things of getting out there and saying, you know what, I can play with these guys. I can, to hear Dexter Coakley, speak to me, to my man, you probably one of the better running backs we will face in this league. You just transition in. So having those talks with him, and even Darren Woodson, because when they first released me, because at the end of training camp and right before the 53 man, they released me. And to have Darren Woodson, that's why they called me Lil Wood, because they called him Woody.
Right.
So they would call me Lil Wood. And for him to come up to me, and he was almost regretful that I was leaving. And he's like, man, you're not gonna make it through waivers. Somebody gonna pick you up, man. I don't want you to go. And just he gave me some encouraging words. I mean, that was just a blessing to get in there as a transition from quarterback to running back, and to gain those guys' respect and prove that I could play on that level, even at a new position. That really shows something to me that if I get out there and I decide to work like I know I'm capable of, I can step on the field and play with anyone. So that was really encouraging for me.
Now, I know after the Cowboys, you had to stop in Atlanta, and then you were trying to latch on like in an arena league and some of the different things. When you decided to hang it up, how tough was it to kind of walk away? Because I know everybody deals with that sort of, in their own way, or sometimes they have something lined up. Was it a difficult transition for you?
No, not at all.
No.
When the phone call stopped coming in, it was like, okay, next chapter. Because again, like I said before, I'm a rare breed. Football wasn't my life. So I know some people have a tough time letting go. I didn't. When it came, I'm a realist. Okay, no one's calling me. Me and my agent talking. No, thought about we may go over to Canada. Canada didn't pan out. Tried arena, did it for a little bit. Then those phone calls stopped coming, and a couple of leagues popped up. Got into those. Those leagues didn't even make it into the season, and it's like, you know what? It's time to move. And that was one of the things that I'm talking to Parcells. He was saying, don't chase this football thing forever. He used to say that. I just love his philosophy and how he really, really give you those wisdom points to move through. But yeah, when it was time to go to the next chapter, for me, it was just, hey, time to go to the next chapter. So it was not a big deal for me at all.
Can you tell the audience a little bit what you have going on now? I realize you've also got a sales marketing background, and then you also do motivational speaking. So could you talk a little bit about that?
So currently I'm in sales. So I do, that's my full-time deal. I'm actually pharmaceutical sales. So I do that in respiratory. I'm at respiratory medications. But I also have my own business, Dantzler 3 LLC. That's my baby. And I do, like you mentioned, I do the speaking out of that. It's built around speaking, mentorship, and community service. So I actually just started a mentor program. I don't know if you saw when I first came into the Zoom, you saw that DR squared. That's what that logo was. That's my mentoring program. I got about 15 kids that I mentor at a local middle school here. And I'm actually getting it, that was my pilot. So I'm getting it prepped to take it into a couple more middle schools and the high schools, and then expand with it. So I'm writing up the curriculum. So those are the things that I'm doing. I'm speaking, which I enjoy, because my biggest thing is seeing people develop in the way they were created to develop. I want them to understand the gifts that they have inside of them, help them unlock it, and then motivate them to see it through and walk in their greatness for the entirety of their lives. So that's what I do through my speaking. But with the mentorship program, it's more hands-on, when you really get that one-on-one with these kids to get to talk to them and see how they feel, and really push them to think differently, because that's the biggest thing for me. I want these folks to think differently. And if you can think through something, you can get through anything. So that's what I push these kids to do. And it's so rewarding. I enjoy it so much. Like I said, that's my heartbeat there. But on top of that, I'm just a family man.
That's perfect. Now with your mentoring and basically motivational speaking, do you travel around much, or is it more just sort of geographic that you kind of got in your home area?
Well, I traveled a good bit, but COVID reset a lot of stuff. So I'm really kind of just getting back into, lining up speaking engagement. But really, the mentor program has taken most of my attention. And, I'm kind of putting a lot of efforts into that, because I really want to get it into these schools, and I really want to get it going. So that's my intention. But, the speaking is picking up, but the mentor program is where it's at, and also I've banded with a great group of guys, QB Legacy. So what we do at QB Legacy is we had a few good guys on there that we really focus in on the fundamentals and teaching kids what it means to be a quarterback, be it from the philosophy of quarterback, but more so, the true fundamentals of the sport. My high school coach said this to me, if you can learn the fundamentals of your position, then you can play in any system. And so often our kids are learning systems without the fundamentals. And now even with these new age training of quarterbacks, I mean, a lot of these guys are taking the exceptions to the rule and trying to make them the rule. So if I'm sprinting out, I may throw the ball. Like you look at a Patrick Mahomes, a lot of his stuff he does is unorthodox. It's effective, but a lot of times if you see him sitting in the pocket, he's going to throw the ball like he's supposed to. But if he's scrambling, doing some different stuff, those are exceptions. That's not how I should throw the ball every time. That's just an example. And a lot of these people are out here teaching that as the norm when it's not the norm. You look at the most successful guy you think about, first guy pops in your mind is Tom Brady. You didn't see him doing out there with all these different ways. He sat in that pocket, he dropped the ball off, he read the coverage, and good firm foundation with his feet, nice shirt. He did all the fundamentals, and he's probably gonna go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. So that's what we teach, and that's the other thing that we do. So I got my hand in a lot of stuff.
How is your faith and obviously your beliefs and so forth helped out with your mentoring and also like giving back to others?
Because yes, exactly right. Because like I said, I know we're all created in God's image, and God doesn't create mess. And it's so many times our society and the things that we encounter will reshape the way we think about ourselves. And all it takes, like I said, Darren Bruce was the one who, not also my father too, but Darren Bruce, also the team chaplain at Clemson, was that one who allowed me to take a look at myself and say, you know what, I am meant for greatness. And it's not being braggadocious, it's not being arrogant. It's just understanding your potential and then working to bring it out of you. So you think about any athlete that's on the field, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, tennis, soccer, they're working and they're practicing at honing their craft because they believe that they're good in that sport. And that's the same thing with life. We all have these innate gifts, these abilities, if it's speaking, if it's, figuring out problems, if it's math or if it's teaching or if whatever it is, doing a business. Everyone has that innate abilities within them and characteristics that's going to make them excel in a certain field. But so many times we miss it. I think as Dr. Miles Monroe said, the richest place in this world is the graveyard because so many people die with greatness that they never got to release to the world. So my passion is to have these kids and have people just in general realize the greatness on the inside of them so they can walk in it for the rest of their life. Because even with Marianne Williamson, she said, when we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others the permission to do the same. So when you see one person operating in greatness, oh shoot, then you attach to that person. You see them, and vice versa. You see somebody doing foolish stuff. What's the saying go? Birds of a feather flock together. So, yeah. So that my faith is like that. Because like I said, Jesus was the ultimate example of what it was like to walk in greatness, yet in humility, but doing what he was called to do for his purpose. And so many of us miss our purpose because we just don't know. We don't even take the time to look at it, and we don't. And mentorship is the best way to do it because it always takes someone to see that greatness in you and dare to challenge you to pull it out. So that's why I do what I do and I do it how I do it.
Very, very impressive.